there's a disclaimer. We put ours up front. I'll give you a couple seconds. And I think everybody knows the lithium space and why everybody's so excited about it, and why when you walk around out in the halls, you're hearing stuff like pegmatite and tantalum and cesium. This is a really interesting time in mining and exploration. We have a huge runway, probably multi-decade runway of a shortage of a single commodity that almost the whole world is behind in trying to acquire this resource. So Midex is located in northwestern Ontario dominantly. It's become a real hub for lithium exploration. We've got a number of companies that have come in. You can see our projects there. Our flagship is Barons River. It's up, we're located right beside the Frontier Lithium PAC project. Further south we have Allison Lake. Down near Thunder Bay we have Onion Lake, and we have one project in eastern Ontario called Case Lake. It's directly beside Power Metals Case Lake project. So we want to kind of emphasize the opportunity here to invest in Midex. So as stated, we're a private company, $6 million market cap. The companies on this comp sheet are all northwestern Ontario centric, so it's a fair comparison. You can see Frontier Lithium with a $500 million market cap. We've got RockTech. That's over near Georgia Lake. They're also putting a concentrator in Europe. And then you have a couple other players, Critical and International Lithium, smaller junior companies. A key one here is Green Technology Metals. They've come into the area in a big way. They've got the backing of Lithium Americas. They've raised a significant amount of capital, and they're very aggressive in the area. I think they've got drills running on 2 of their projects. So there's our current market cap. We've done 2 raises to date. A friends and family raise, 1.2 million, and then the following year we did another raise to 1.59 million. So we're currently sitting at about 65 million shares. It's tightly held, about 30-35% insiders and management. You can see we don't have a lot of warrants or options outstanding. Yeah, we've like some of the other companies up here, we've put our money into this to do the acquisitions. Most of it has been staking, so this is an Ontario project under the Mining Act in Ontario. We've staked significant land packages here. We've done a few small option deals, but more or less we've used our knowledge of Ontario and our contacts to locate prime lithium exploration ground. So yeah, where is Favorable Lake? We're about 200 clicks north of Red Lake, Ontario, close to the Manitoba border. Ontario, Manitoba, Quebec, they're sort of the key hard rock spodumene exploration areas in Canada right now. You've got, you can see where we're located relative to Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is, of course, ideal for shipping down into the battery and automotive areas in Michigan and southern Ontario. So you've got our Barons project at Favorable Lake. It's a huge land package, almost 50,000 hectares. We started out in 2020 looking at the gold and silver potential of the belt. We were able to acquire an existing past producing gold mine, and then we staked most of the belt. You can see a white line about halfway through the package. That's the Winter Road. Everything on the right is more or less gold, silver. On the left of that white line is our lithium focus. The reason we got into lithium in the first place is that we're directly beside Frontier Lithium. And I've known those guys for quite a while. I've been in the area since 2012, and been watching what progress they were making. And as we went from 2020 into 2021, the momentum really began to pick up for lithium. So we continued staking in the belt. We were compiling data as we went along, and we ended up picking up a significant strike length adjacent to Frontier. So the land package here is a little bit clearer. The pale blue hatch is Frontier Lithium's PAC project. You can see the red dots there with the gold labels. That's their current deposits. The pale green was our initial gold-silver project, and then the darker green was the additions that we made. We were also able to pick up some ground to the south as claims came open. And other companies have come into the belt. You can see a list there. Some of them are Chinese-based or Australian-based. Green Technology Metals also has a land package between us and Frontier. So the whole belt, stem to stern, is over 130 kilometers long. It's really centered on a big crustal feature called the Bearhead Lake Fault. So the Bearhead Lake Fault is there. It's that dashed line, the black line that runs right through the middle of Frontiers in our project area. It's a key feature of just about all the lithium deposits in Ontario. If you look at any of the other green technology or any of the other projects, generally on a major contact between two geological subprovinces. So a very structurally disturbed area. This has allowed partial melting of sediments, and then you get the fertile granites come up, which in turn spawn the lithium-rich pegmatites. So basically the same map. There's a little bit of geology on there. So the orange is the fertile granites that have come up. You can see how they hug the fault. The red circles are just mineral indicators such as uranium and moly, tantalum, garnet, tourmaline. These are things that the government had mapped in that are pretty good indicators that you're onto a pegmatite. So that's what we've used. There has been no real work up in this area. Frontier has had their project. The government did most of their work. I think by the 90s they were starting to publish the maps. So you can go into those reports and those maps and pull out quite a bit of information, but it's only regional mapping. There's been no detailed mapping or exploration to speak of. So this is what it looks like in the area. So this is a slide from Frontier's project. You can see the PAC project. That's where the PAC deposit. That's where they started out. I think it was in the early 2000s. It was something that the government had discovered, and they came in, picked up the ground, and started doing some basic work. It was a number of years later. By the time they started doing a little bit more regional stuff, they had a helicopter. You can see the spark deposit. It looks like a burn area. Flew over it. You can see how white it is. Landed on it. Sure enough, lithium-rich pegmatite. So you can see the grades are very high relative to a number of most deposits in Ontario and Quebec. And the tonnages are substantial. Another important feature is the low iron that's been determined from some of the metallurgical work they've done at SGS Lakefield. So a tier 1 deposit, there's no question about it. You can see they're all fairly closely spaced. I think that's about 5 kilometers in the photo. So most of the belt remains unexplored. Just the same thing illustrated on a graph. You've got size of resource on the bottom, grade across the left axis. You can see the big yellow dot is where Frontier's PAC project sits now. Those are resource numbers. They've spent most of this year drilling, 2 drills, 12,000 meters, and they're going to convert all those resources into reserves. So you can see up and to the right, They're leading the pack. There's a bunch of Quebec projects there. There's a couple of Ontario projects, some of the Carolinian projects, North Carolina, from Piedmont. And yeah, so, you know, the grade is phenomenal. The real advantage I think Frontier has, and what this belt has in particular, is the size of the pegmatites. And I'll get into that a little bit later, but what we've been able to see. So this is a fairly new project for us. We haven't been able to do a lot of work yet. We've got on the ground and done some prospecting. And what we thought was there is actually there. There's some big pegmatites with lithium in them. And there's a picture of what we saw. I think the first day we got up there, you can see there is a contact there on the right side. There's a sediment contact, but most of that photo is a pegmatite. There's a dead tree across there. It's probably 60 feet wide for scale. So we've more or less defined a corridor that's it's a swarm of pegmatites. It's over 200 meters wide. It remains to be further defined. We didn't do any mapping when we got up there. We had about 200 square kilometers to look at, so we really just focused on kind of smash and grab, you know, land the helicopter, cut a pad if you can, walk around, get some samples, jump back in and head off. So a little bit of a illustration. So this is pre-prospecting and post-prospecting. So that earlier map you saw before, kind of what we had put together. So once we wrapped up and got our results late September, we had proof of concept. We've proven what we thought. We have lithium-bearing pegmatites. So let's, you know, we're going to get out, start pounding the pavement, and start talking about this thing. We better stake everything, everything that has any potential. So we bumped up our project size from 31,000 hectares to almost 50,000. So this shows you basically where our discoveries were. So the red stars are lithium pegmatites or high barrel tantalum alteration in sediments. So we've got about 36 kilometers of trend that we've defined as being highly prospective for lithium-bearing pegmatites. I'll skip through on that one. So infrastructure is very important in this area. It's winter road access currently, but there's been decades of initial planning for the winter road to be converted to an all-weather road. So this bridge is a key bridge in that winter road. It's the longest river span. It's a key link for the winter road. So this is a Stantec, a couple of pictures from Stantec. The materials are on site. The EA's been done. The engineering's been done. We believe this will be completed probably late 2023 or in 2024. This is what it looks like in the field on the right. You can see the road. There's hard to see, but the power line is following the road. This comes up from Red Lake. And another figure from Stantec shows some of the engineering figures, the pre-design on the road, power line, etc. Power line is due to be completed by the end of 2024. So this is from the Watay site. So Watay is the electric transmission project that's underway. It comes up from Red Lake, is on the bottom. The blue line is the Nungesser Road. It's already existing all weather. And then the colors just donate the amount of completion of the power line. So the right-of-ways have all been cut. They're starting to stand up towers. And the stringing will probably take place next summer. So it's well underway. I've been up there. There's numerous camps. There's helicopters. I mean, it's a very active site. It's hard to see on this, but up toward the top, you can see where the greenstone belt. So the power line goes right through the middle of our property, right through the middle of the lithium, belt. The power line, they put in a substation right beside Frontier's project, as luck would have it. So It's a real game changer for the communities that are up there. They're all going to get put on the grid. It's going to help. It's going to help us immensely. The idea is to have hydropower. It's low. It's got low carbon emissions. There'll be carbon credits as that market develops. So it's really important. Couple of pictures. So these are a little bit out of date. That's 2021, but that's what it looks like up there. On the left is a Valor camp. We stayed in a camp similar to that when we did our prospecting program. So really easy for us. And then on the right, you can see where the right-of-way has been cut for the power line, and the winter road is right beside it. And that's the substation, the square up on the top of the picture there. You can see where the substation's cut out. So again, that's 2021, so that's probably by now has got towers standing on it. So yeah, this is a little overview of the number of companies that are involved here. So you can see our projects between Thunder Bay and Favorable Lake. You can see the other companies. Like I said, Green Technologies is very aggressive. They've picked up a number of projects in the area. To the left, far left of the screen, you can see Sinomine has got the old Tanko deposit in Manitoba. So that deposit was mined for lithium since I think the 50s. And it's also a big cesium producer, so it's a very important project. Avalon has got a project that's been there since the 80s. You've got First Energy Metals. So yeah, it's a very active area. I don't know how many drills are turning on these projects, but there's been a lot of money spent in the last 18 months. So there's a little bit of detail on a couple of our other projects in the area. So Allison Lake is a project. Green Technology Metals has got most of this play, but we've got a pretty decent land package there. Barrick is just to the south of us. Conorland picked up a big land package and optioned it out to Barrick for gold and lithium. So again, we've done a lot of research. We used a lot of the work by Fred Breaks and Julie Selway to figure out where the best areas are to explore. And they really like this Allison Lake area. It's got a high recommendation. It's one of the largest peralkaline granites, fertile granites in Ontario. So very good potential in this area. It's grassroots, but it's got a lot of those indicator minerals like beryl and tantalum. There is some lithium pegmatites in the area that Green Technology has been able to pick up. So this is our Onion Lake play, which is it's a grassroots play, but we know there's significant, there's some very large pegmatites in this area. They're beryl pegmatites that are known right now, but it doesn't take a lot of fractionation to get you up into the lithium level of pegmatite. So again, the OGS has put a very high recommendation on this area. We've been able to pick up a pretty decent package. A little bit of ground has popped open over the last year or so, and it's been competitive. But we're very good at staking. We're very good at combing through reports and watching the claim system to see what's available. So we were able to put together a pretty decent package in this area. Clean Air Metals that's a platinum PGE project. So that's it's an advanced project. They've, serendipity, they've been able to pick up quite a bit of the trend. So they're in a good position in terms of lithium if that's what they want to get interested in. It's a little bit more detail. You can see what the government has sort of outlined, the fairways that are more prospective for lithium pegmatites. You can see you got the mineralogies there. You've got lithium assays, excellent access, as is Allison Lake. Allison Lake has got it's got very good haul road access. This is a highway running right through the middle with two major logging roads transecting our claims. It's an hour. You get in a truck, you're on the property. If you're in Thunder Bay, you're on the property in less than an hour. So it's a good size package. And good access. We've already started to work here. We put guys in the field. By noon, the first day, they called me up and said they found 4 pegmatites. So, and like it's odd to say, but nobody's gone in there and had a hard look. Some guys had stripped off some pegmatites. I think at the time they were looking at building stone because they're so consistent and coarse grained. But the pegmatite thing is the lithium pegmatite thing has been underlooked. In Case Lake, this is an interesting project. If you're following Power Metals, they put out some interesting assays recently on cesium. I think one of the highest cesium assays in drill core for Ontario, if not North America. But it is a lithium project. There is quite a bit of cesium in it, and that's typical. These projects will get a lot of zonation. You'll get different pegmatites. They'll have different properties, different metals. So they're focusing on lithium. It's the same thing with us acquiring this ground. A big block of ground directly on strike came open this year. We were able to win the race, and once we had it, we simply added whatever ground was available on strike. So the edge of the Case Lake batholith is very important to control the pegmatites, and there's also an OGS's mapped default structure on trend with the Case Lake pegmatite system. So yeah, a very basic geological premise. Again, there's a road. It goes right through the middle of that package. So very good access. Cochrane, Ontario is on the left, and La Sarre, Quebec is just off the page to the right. So you're in, there's very good access, very good accommodations, etc. So there's the team, and this is important. We've got a great team behind us. These are the guys. When we started out with this company, we started out staking greenstone belt scale gold and silver projects. They were putting up the money to do extensive staking. Once we got rolling, once we switched to lithium, they kept it going. So we've acquired over 80,000 hectares of ground in Ontario now. And with the support of this board. You've got Terry Harbert and Andreas, they're both with Talisker. You've got Glenn Baldwin, who's an Australian mining engineer, whose help has been invaluable. Myself, Glenn Rochon, we founded the company. As management, you've got Scott Young, who's got connections, unbelievable connections overseas and in Canada. That's been able to keep us going. We got Tammy Lennon, who's just awesome with First Nations. She's got a ton of experience, right up till even advanced permitting in northwestern Ontario. Just absolutely invaluable. And myself and then Doug Harris is our CFO. So it's a really good group. Like I said, it's 35% held. We all put money in. It's and we're all involved. It's very active. We're constantly bouncing things off each other. So yeah, just getting close to wrapping up here. Just a few interesting things. So we've got, to summarize, we've got 5 really prospective discovery level lithium assets. That's what we are. We're a discovery company. So we think we've got the ground to deliver multiple discoveries. This is maximum leverage if you're an investor. And it's the most exciting part of the cycle. And we've got ground that's highly prospective, never been looked at. We talk about it. It's like going into Kirkland Lake in 1915, prospecting the ground and, stumbling on a gold mine, right? It's doable. Kirkland Lake in 1950, they were finding gold mines, 1910. So same, roll the clock ahead. This is lithium's time. There's a lot of really good ground out there that's got a lot of potential, and I think we've done a good job in the last 2 years of identifying that ground and acquiring it for the least cost possible. It's a nice quote here. I don't know if you're familiar with Kobold. It's a group that's put together a couple years ago by Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. They're going at it from big data point of view. They're analyzing the markets. They're analyzing data from all over the world. They're trying to find cobalt and lithium, nickel. But this is a quote. And this is important, I think, to realize that he's talking about new lithium discoveries. This is not ramping up existing brine projects or existing spodumene projects. This is $3 to $4 trillion of brand new lithium discoveries. So you can imagine the leverage that will have in the market. There's going to be a lot of news. Right now, there's not a lot of us out there, especially in the grassroots end of things. But this is going to be a really exciting space coming up, and there's lots of room. And I think we're at really early stage. You see it in gold, where the mines, when a cycle comes, the mines kind of get into play, and then the brownfields, and then you've got sort of you've got some good showings, and pretty soon you're out to just a concept play. Like we're not there yet. We're halfway through. So there's still more. There's going to be more ideas. I see them constantly. I see the CEO of Kenorland has just started a new company with looking at the same kind of concept. Big chunks of ground, a long trend of existing lithium deposits, and getting out there, getting your boots on the ground, get prospecting, and making some discoveries.